Subscribe right now and hit the bell. Then you won't miss a chapter. And give the show a like. Comment with any thoughts and questions, and I will be happy to chat with you. Thanks for helping out this independent author.
The Workshop. Josh stood, unmoving and mostly undressed, in the center of the small open space of the shop. A large octocopter slowly and quietly hummed around him, a little too close for comfort. The drone was about the size of a large crow and just as black. Josh could feel its cameras focus on him while the software digitally mapped his full real-to-life image. Mr. Greenwich stood before a screen as he explained the details on Josh that were being stored for the security system's biorecognition capabilities. Height, weight, skin, hair, eye color, and even his walking gait were all being logged in the system, and the unique eye, facial, and fingerprint data was, of course, captured as well. Josh eyed the drone uneasily as he leaned away and pointed at it while he asked, "Can it back off?" "Please remain still, Mr. Macias. I will be finished soon." Josh's nerves jumped, making his body tense and cold as the strong masculine voice came out of the floating drone. He calmed down a second later as he recognized that it was merely the intelligence of the security software giving him necessary feedback so that its task could be completed. The menacing-looking drone was fitted with two 360-degree cameras, one on top as well as one on the underside, capable of both thermal and infrared imaging. It also possessed sensitive microphones for audio surveillance, used often while charging on its rooftop perch or for taking any verbal commands. This array gave it full versatility for its many surveillance trips around the property, both day and night. It could still fly even if only 2 of its 8 motors were operational. Whenever you want to make a command or query the system, just address it out loud by simply saying, "Security system," and then say what you want to and it will hear you. Also, the system will use any or all surveillance equipment to locate or record any visitors or intruders. So, that includes the plentiful stationary cameras, all doorways and bots as well. Then, he added in a lower tone, it will now recognize you and know where you are at all times. The drone finished its scan and flew out a port in the roof that closed behind it. "Okay," Josh said while pondering the information as he began dressing. "But what if I'm not in here or I'm not in the house for the mics to hear me? Can I use my phone too?" Mr. Greenwich replied, "Yes, you can talk to the security system through any devices connected to it, such as the drone, your phone, or any other personal device that you want to connect to the system. We'll connect your phone next for you. Then you'll always be able to have all the security info you want, including live or recorded video and audio. Whatever you want or need, it's available." He pointed to a small object the size of his palm. "Plus, there's this pocket-sized personal drone that you can take with you to use for personal security video or for whatever you want. It's great for fun stuff, but it was designed to be a spy drone and for interception of live communications." He noticed Josh's eyes light up and stated, "But there are serious privacy laws that you do not want to break." Josh's face quickly dropped to a playful frown. "Oh, and by the way," continued Mr. Greenwich, "there is only a local area intranet. No World Wide Web on the Wi-Fi network here for security reasons. If you want to use the web, you'll have to use cellular data or go direct line in for secure high-speed web usage for, streaming any of that fancy virtual reality stuff you kids are into these days. And keep the Wi-Fi as is because you do not want a breach of the information and software that Selden left here for you. He was developing some world-changing tools here. Also, he kept detailed written and video notes on most of it. It would be wise for you to take a look at those notes." Josh's curiosity was piqued, and he responded, "Why? What was he doing here with all this?" As he motioned around him at the myriad of computers, robotics, and various parts that lay organized neatly around them. Mr. Greenwich stopped and stared off into another reality for a bit before speaking again. "Dr. Selden McClure may just go down in history as one of the world's most influential people ever. Mr. Macias, he may have completely broken through the artificial intelligence barrier. Hell, even the human one. Yet, I fear what so much intelligence and so much power could bring with only one unchecked man wielding it all. History gives us grievous warnings on this matter, don't you think?" Josh stared at him, feeling there was a deeper issue at hand. Then he spoke slowly. "Yes, sir. I guess you're right about that. Dictators, warlords, and religious charlatans have done their damage to humanity, that's for sure. But I couldn't be given that responsibility. Mr. M wouldn't give that to me. I'm just a scrawny 18-year-old nerd. Mr. Greenwich put a hand on his shoulder and said, Humility is the key, the safeguard. One must crouch low before jumping high to reach the good fruit. I think Selden did well in choosing you, yet you are more than what you think you are, and a confident understanding of exactly who you are is most important. So, who are you, Mr. Macias? The seriousness of the rhetorical question hung in the air for Josh to consider. He had never been one to shy away from serious matters, but Josh was beginning to sink a little under the weight he was now feeling. The two began to walk around the shop slowly, and Josh asked, Is it okay if I call you sometime? Like, if I need help with the security system or something? Mr. Greenwich made a quick, heartfelt reply. Whatever you need, Mr. Macias. I'll help as much as possible. They came near a large contraption, a tubular pod that had a thick plexiglass cover. Don't tell me Mr. M liked a good fake tan, Josh joked. Mr. Greenwich smiled and put a hand on the glass, as if a faded memory had come rushing back. No, he said with a pause. He was always trying new things, pushing the boundaries of caution, on himself even. Only time will tell if this little experiment can be salvaged. Then Mr. Greenwich snapped back to the present and said quickly, Well, Miss Rachel must be bored out of her pretty little head by this point. We'll go around by the rows of computer servers and back out the way we came in. And by the way, there is auto-emergency backup power for these servers and the computers that run the security AI in case the main power grid goes down. It'll run and recharge directly off the solar units too. Once outside, Rachel and Josh stood in front of the house and waved to Mr. Greenwich as he drove off in the gleaming silver Jaguar. After a short while, Josh's parents pulled up. They went through the new place together with excitement, commenting on this or that with awe and intrigue. They all had a casual dinner together at a nearby restaurant. Dad's treat, despite Josh's attempt to pay, and then the parents dropped off the two and went home for the evening. Rachel took a deep breath, then teasingly said, Time for your birthday surf sesh, Mr. Macias. What do you say we try out this beauty down here? She pointed down to the glistening, pristine bay below. Yeah, said Josh enthusiastically as he checked his smartwatch. If we go now, we've got a good hour of walking on water before the sun goes down. Woohoo! Look at that pipe! The surf is pumping today, yelled Josh over the roar of the pounding waves. Rachel yelled back, There must be a storm out there. We should be careful since this is our first time here. An older surfer walking by with his board chimed in. Hey guys, stay clear of the south end of the beach. There are rocks just under the water at high tide. Have fun, kids. And then he ran into the water, paddling hard to get out past the breakers. Once the two made it out as well, they sat up on their boards among many others. They were panting heavily from the furious fight with the waves, and though they were winded, they both immediately searched intensely for the perfect wave. There was always a competition between them to see who could catch the first wave of the session. Before they could catch their breath, an ice overhead began to grow to the north of them, but Rachel was closest. Everyone in the area began to paddle hard. Rachel came in line with it behind a huge man who, upon seeing her, kindly fell out of his spot to let her have it. Then, Josh briefly had a flash of recognition. Rachel shot up quickly to her feet. She raced down the face of the wave and passed by Josh with a smile of pure joy. Josh let out a whoop whoop as he watched her ride it beautifully for a long while all the way down to the southern end of the beach. Hey there, friend. Suddenly came a booming voice as a large hand clapped Josh powerfully on the shoulder. Josh lost his balance, he was so startled. He was just barely able to regain his balance before he could look up in shock at the looming figure next to him. There, towering over him, was the huge and perfectly ripped Damien. It took Josh only a second to register that this was his alter ego he had come across at the genetics lab that day. With a dominating look, Damien jabbed at him verbally. Sorry to have startled you there, little guy, but that girl is a pretty piece of work. How'd she end up with you? No offense, though, he said sarcastically with his hands up. Josh, taking a second to gather his composure, looked back at Rachel, who just finished her ride and was hollering joyous shouts at him. He lifted his hand high, making a shaka symbol for her. Then he said to Damien, She's more than a piece of work. She's a masterpiece. Suddenly, Josh dropped flat to his board and while paddling hard said, Excuse me, as a perfect curl shaped up that Damien hadn't noticed behind him. Damien spoke to him loudly for all to hear. This surf spot isn't for little boys. You gotta be a man to make it here. Josh felt Damien's eyes on him while he caught the wave smoothly and effortlessly. He proudly rode the perfect wave while his mind was being jumbled by the jarring interaction that had just happened. Josh was irritated and knew Damien had gotten under his skin. He tried to pull his attention back to this big wave as he began to pick up some serious speed. He shot to the bottom and cut back hard while laying almost flat into the water. He let his hand graze the glassy water as the sunlight stabbed through from the other side. Then the wave's tunnel opened up for him as if beckoning him into its beauty and grace. Josh held his position straight now, and the blanketing water curled over his crouched body. Now he was in the zone, and it was glorious. What a ride, he thought, as he soaked in the feeling that Rachel must have also just taken in. In that instant, the mouth of the wave began to close on him, and his world darkened. Josh crouched low and stayed composed. He had been here before and knew what to do. If he could just hold it and get enough speed, then he might be able to shoot out through the foaming mouth and out into the light. Something felt different this time, though, an unease that crept into his mind. No worries, water is soft enough if I fall. And right then, his board was suddenly taken out from under his feet, and he fell hard. Within a split second, he had thought about Mr. M. He wondered strangely what it must have been like for Mr. M during the motorcycle crash and the following coma that he eventually succumbed to. Then, Josh was briefly aware of the painless, almost numbing impact on the water's surface. But it was not only water that he had hit, and the beautiful sunlight of his surrounding world flickered out.
Be sure to share the show with friends and write an Amazon review. Get the entire audiobook right now. Go to sa.vanderwarf.com to get it at an extremely discounted price. To receive the free ebook and my wallpaper book cover image, just sign up for the newsletter at sa.vanderwarf.com. Then you can be notified for the release of the anticipated sequel to The Man Who Made Himself. Thanks so much and enjoy the gifts.